What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I'm a little bit excited because we've got some news coming out of the Final Fantasy TCG Australia Facebook page about Opus 10 from the Final Fantasy trading card game. Now, for those of you paying attention, you might realise that actually Opus 9 isn't out for like 3 weeks yet. Opus 9 is actually dropping officially on July the 19th, and pre-releases are beginning on July the 13th. Ancient Champions, Opus 10, is releasing on November the 8th, which means it's a fair assumption to make that pre-releases will be starting on November the 2nd. 6 days before. That kind of makes sense. Cool. Essentially, the set drops on a Friday, but the pre-releases start on the Saturday preceding, hence 6 days. So cool. We know it's Opus 10. Okay, that was kind of a given. We know it's called Ancient Champions. Remember, they have little subheadings now. It's not just Opus. They've got names. And we know it's coming out on November the 8th. Now, the good news is we do have some information about the contents, how many cards, etc. There will be 130 standard, 162 premium cards. This is going to include 22 special rare full art cards. Now, I did tell you about these in the Opus 9 primer I showed you rather recently. And these are just full art versions of cards that are in the set anyway. But there were only 16 in Opus 9. We're going up to 22 in Opus 10. So there's a few more of them. That's kind of cool. And there are going to be 10 exclusive cards from Wraith versus Knights. So essentially the premium cards are the 130 standard in foil, plus 10 from Wraith versus Knights, plus 22 full art cards. Hang on a second. Wraith versus Knights? What's that? Well, that is a new starter deck which was previously confirmed as coming out on the 13th of September. It was revealed a couple of months ago, in fact, back in April on a Japanese stream. And we have got a couple of cards that have already been shown from that. They are Cloud of Darkness and Onion Knight. I will be showing you them at the end of the video. Let's focus on Opus 10 first. So that's what's kind of going to be inside. On the box, we actually have Warrior of Light. Now, I did a bit of research into this. I'm not totally up on all the Final Fantasy games. I've only played a couple of them. But this is a recurring theme. 4 heroes who are chosen by crystals to embark on a dangerous journey to fight evil and restore balance to the world. Yeah, it's very JRPG. And you might notice that there was actually a Warrior of Light promo that was given in 9 different languages when you bought the first annual that came out, the 2017 annual that came out recently. Yes, of course, I picked that up. Incidentally, if you haven't picked it up yet, it is still on the Square Enix site. It's kind of cool, and I like the promo. So yeah, Warrior of Light. Presumably, that means that Warrior of Light will be the pre-release promo in the same way that Vincent was on the box for Opus 9 and was the Opus 9 pre-release promo, though no confirmation as to whether that is the case or indeed what it actually does. Now, of course, in every set we do get original artwork that has been commissioned for the set, and we have confirmation that we're going to get artwork from Ryoma Ito for Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings and Final Fantasy XI, Yasuhisa Izumisawa from World of Final Fantasy, Ruby Asami from Mobius Final Fantasy, Isamu Kamakokurio, sorry for the pronunciations, from Final Fantasy XII, Toshitaka Matsuda from Final Fantasy III, and Akira Aguru from Final Fantasy IV. Now, going through the exclusive artwork we're going to be getting, some of you might notice that we've not had anything from Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings yet. And that is because this is the debut in the Final Fantasy TCG of Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. Now, this is a DS sequel to Final Fantasy XII. Final Fantasy XII, originally on the PS2, actually came out extremely recently for the Nintendo Switch. Let's say it's in my need to get it and play it pile, but it's below Final Fantasy X. I don't know why Final Fantasy X just appeals way more than Final Fantasy XII. If you have strong opinions about those games, do hit me up in the comment section and let me know. Essentially, it's often described as a combination between Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy XII. Slightly different fighting, but still very much a Final Fantasy XII game, and is rocking an 81 on Metacritic, which means it's a pretty gosh darn good game. And the good news is, it's not a terribly expensive game. You can fairly easily pick it up in the UK for like £8. Now, I know obviously a lot of you aren't in the UK, but you're talking basically $10. It's not a particularly expensive game. Maybe you get hyped for Opus 10 by picking this up and giving it a bit of a play. But the most exciting thing about Opus 10 is that it is introducing a new keyword skill, damage. Although we're not 100% sure exactly how it works, hopefully we'll get some clarification between now and November. I'm fairly sure we will. So damage basically gives extra effects for a character when you've taken a certain amount of damage. Which of course opens up two possibilities which were pointed out by the Australian Facebook group. Does that mean there will be games where you deliberately take damage so that you can open up skills that you think can turn the tide of the game? And does that mean you will deliberately not deal damage so that you don't let your opponent open up skills which could turn the tide of the game? It's going to be extremely interesting seeing what actually happens with these particular skills. Of course, it's going to depend on what the damage skills actually are and how many of these skills actually make their way into decks. But we could be looking at some really fun interactions. So we were shown the Buy a Box promo from Opus 10. It is Squall, the protagonist from Final Fantasy VIII. And we do have a translation from the lovely Murad Al-Ghalani. Again, I'm sorry for the pronunciations, but a lovely chap who often goes and chucks his translations where we have Japanese cards, and that makes him a lovely chap indeed. So, when Squall enters a field, you choose one character, and if your opponent has 2 or fewer cards in hand, you dull it. And we do see a bunch of ice cards which are quite good at disrupting the hand, making your opponent discard. Welcome to Ice Earth was an Ice Earth deck, shockingly enough, that went and won the Ice Crystal Cup in Toronto. And that was a very heavy hand disruption deck, so, you know, these things can fit in quite nicely. But here's where the damage comes in. So damage 2, i.e. if you've taken 2 damage, when Squall enters a field, choose one character, dull it and freeze it. It's a nice character, it's got freeze. That shouldn't surprise many people. Damage 5, if you've taken 5 damage, when Squall enters a field, choose one forward. If it is dulled, deal it 8,000 damage. Cool. That's quite a bit of damage. I can be alright with this. Now, people seem a little bit torn at the moment as to whether these damage skills actually stack or whether they replace each other. What it says in the release on the Australian Facebook group is this: the introduction of the new keyword damage, which initiates unique text effects once a player has taken a specified amount of damage. This opens up further tactical options, blah 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 blah. But it doesn't actually make it clear whether it stacks or not. So if you've taken 5 damage, do you get all 3 of these effects? Or do you just get the when it enters a field and damage 5 without the damage 2? People are saying at the moment that they think they replace rather than stack, but the reality is we don't actually know whether they're replacing or whether they're stacking. If I do get confirmation about this officially, I will make sure I pin a comment down below so we can have some confirmation there. But if I've not pinned a comment, it means as of yet, we don't actually know. Generally speaking, the opinion around the community seems to be, look, it's a free cost 7,000 power character with decent skills. Yeah, this is worthy of being a legend. Cool. Now, I did tell you we would circle back to those starter deck cards, the 2 legends, so let's very, very quickly have a little bit of a gander. Our translations here do come from the same lovely chap, and we've got Cloud of Darkness, a free cost, 7,000 power dark character, At the end of your turn, remove one card from the top of your deck. For each card removed by Cloud of Darkness gains 1,000 power. When Cloud of Darkness leaves the field, you may choose one card removed by Cloud of Darkness, add it to your hand, and put the rest into the break zone. I mean, you've got a little bit of search there for when it leaves the field, and it starts as a free cost 7 power, but let's say it doesn't stay as that for very, very long. You've then got Onion Knight, a light, free cost 7,000 power, so pretty much analogous. When Onion Knight deals damage to your opponent, you may search for one card named Onion Knight and add it to your hand. It's then got a couple of S skills, and of course, that's fine, but you're going to need to have it in your hand to discard it, but you can search for it quite nicely. So that's quite nice. S, Onion Knight gains 1,000 power, haste, first strike, and brave until end of turn, just in case that wasn't enough. And S and dull, choose one forward, deal it damage equal to Onion Knight's power. So if you can be boosting your power here, you can be doing an awful lot just at the cost of discarding an Onion Knight from your hand and tapping it. Sorry, this is Final Fantasy, dulling it. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Opus 10 is coming. We've got release date. We've seen a couple of cards. And even though Opus 9 isn't out yet, I'm still hyped, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still hyped. But I would very much like to know how hyped you are, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter @TheWossy, where we can talk about games like Transformers and a whole bunch of others. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.